One of the most important pieces in my list of exercises for the cure to back pain of mine anyway is of course the reverse hyper. It's a staple in my training, and how I use it is fairly uh, up to me, and I use it in a multitude of ways, but this particular way is something that I would do for restorative properties, even though that's what it's supposed to do. But there's days where I just would like some traction, realigning. I mean, some solid uh, blood flow in my lower back without like using any type of weight, even though it doesn't hinder me. It's just fatiguing for the next day. So I like just going through this particular setup. First, I'm going to place a band around my ankles, and then later you'll see that I use this medicine ball in between my legs in order to squeeze the medicine ball, and the band is just to prevent my feet from going outward, so I keep intact with the medicine ball. Um, I got this from David Weck. I've found it to be very structurally helpful as far as keeping my back from having this jolt of pain, because it's something that I've noticed too, is that if I go into reverse hypers cold, that and I go too hard too fast, that I almost need to warm up for it because of how either just tight my lower back is, or um, just it just doesn't feel good. So I would use this just to warm up for actual reverse hypers. So I'll throw my hip circles on. I use hip circles and I double up on them because I like a lot of tension. I'll take my ball, I'll put it in between my legs, like so, and then we'll go through the process of doing reverse hypers in just a second. So this is the technique that I learned from John Quint. John Quint is the chiropractor uh, for Louis Simmons and Westside Barbell, and he posted a long while ago, just basically leading from the pelvis, leading from the hip in the reverse hyper, only thinking about flexing the lower back and then relaxing through the lower back. And so when I do these reverse hypers, I don't think about using my feet at all. The only time that I actually start using my feet is when I go through my like fourth set of it, my back is warmed up, and then all I'm thinking about doing is taking my heels or the soles of my feet and pushing them to the ground in this position just to get a little bit more added traction. But once we continue on, I will raise from my hips only, almost like I'm doing a Superman without my feet, and then I'll lower from my hips. I'll raise from my hips and lower from my hips. There's an awesome amount of contraction in the lower back, mid back, and there's a great stretch all the way through the lat as well if you do these correctly. So I'm thinking about bringing the hips up. Once I get situated, bring the hips up and bring the hips down. Bring the hips up, bring the hips down, all while squeezing the shit out of this ball. And the bands are keeping my feet in place so I can have constant tension on the ball. But the most important part is how to do a reverse hyper. It's not led from the feet, it's led from the hips, it's led from the top of the ass. So that's what we're thinking about when we do reverse hypers. And of course, this is not the only thing that I do for reverse hypers. I will add weight, but I will also have variations of it. I will have the ball in between my legs when I go heavy, when I go light, when I go high reps, low reps. I mean, no real low reps on this at all. Anything less than 12, and I really don't feel it. So I want to advocate for higher reps on this exercise, but even when we have weight on, I would recommend using clips on the weight, just because I'm really still trying to think about squeezing the ball, which would then push my feet outward, and you don't want the weights to fall off the rack or off the bottom position there, but everything remains the same.